The Iowa Hawkeyes are sitting at 10-2 and may have had one of the strangest and luckiest seasons in college football history. A team that only scored more than 25 points twice in a game, with both of those coming in September, many would have expected a terrible season. Yet, the Hawkeyes will be playing in the Big Ten title game. Had this happen? Stay tuned to find out. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I am planning to release a video every day from now until Christmas. Also, let me know what your favorite story has been in college football this season in the comment section below. Heading into the 2023 season, the last year the Hawkeyes will be playing in the Big Ten West, with the conference doing away with divisions for 2024, there were some high expectations for Iowa football. After an 8-5 season that saw a lack of offensive production, many expected a bounce back year, especially with the additions of Cade McNamara and others through the transfer portal. Going back to the start of the 2015 football season, Iowa has been one of the most consistent programs in the nation, putting together a 75-31 record with 5 top 25 finishes and 7 seasons with at least 8 wins or more. In February, the Hawkeyes announced the contract of offensive coordinator Brian Ferentz, the son of head coach Kirk Ferentz, had been amended to include a designated performance objectives for the 2023 season. Most notably, Iowa had to at least average 25 points per game and win at least 7 games. If they did not meet those requirements, then Brian would be fired. The reason for the contract amendment was due to a disastrous offensive season in 2022, as they averaged 251.6 yards per game, the second worst mark among all FBS teams, and 17.7 points per game, the 9th worst mark in the FBS. Its scoring average was its lowest since 2000. They have been stacked on defense for years, but many wondered how different things might have been had they just had an average offense or just below average offense. The season started off strong for the Hawkeyes as they scored their first touchdown of the season within 30 seconds into the season. After the game, McNamara said, "I was fired up. We had the exact look we wanted. To be honest, I was kind of surprised that play was called that early. I was expecting maybe a play action or something. When Brian called it and we got the look that we wanted, I just was so fired up, so to be able to hit that, Seth made a great play on it." Yet they still fell short of the 25 points needed, only scoring 24 in their 24-14 win over Utah State. In the rivalry game against Iowa State for the Cy-Hawk, things started off strong for the Hawkeyes as they went into halftime up 17-3. All they needed was 8 points in the second half, which seemed like a layup at the time. Instead, they failed to score at all in the second half, winning the game 20-12. They were sitting at 22.5 points per game 2 games into the season. Finally, against Western Michigan, the Hawkeyes would put up 40 points, beating the Broncos 40-10 to move their average to 28.33 points per game, and Brian seemed safe. For now. The defense had done so much for the Hawkeyes as they looked like one of the best teams in the country until the Penn State game. The Hawkeyes would fail to score at all throughout the game and would be bludgeoned by the Nittany Lions, losing 31-0. Points per game average, 21.25. Against Michigan State, Iowa's offense figured out how to score, but Ferentz would also get some help from Cooper DeJean on the special teams. With the Hawkeyes tie with Michigan State, DeJean returned a punt 70 yards for a touchdown to give Iowa the 23-16 lead. DeJean is a hometown kid, growing up in Old Bolt, Iowa, and attended Battle Creek Ida Grove, where he played quarterback. During the 2019 high school season, Cooper threw for 3,546 yards and 42 touchdowns, while also rushing for 1,292 yards and 24 touchdowns on the ground. He also started on the defensive side of the ball, recording 34 tackles, 5 interceptions, and returned 2 of those for touchdowns. He was a 4-star recruit who was the 26th best safety and 359th best player in the 2021 recruiting class, according to 24/7 Sports Composite. He finished his high school career as a 4-year letterman and multiple All-State honors, leading Battle Creek to a 38-6 record and a 25-0 record his last 2 years in high school. He did not receive many Division I offers because everyone knew he was going to Iowa. In 2022, he became a superstar for the Hawkeyes on defense, turning 3 interceptions for a touchdown and was named first team All-Big Ten. He also developed into a dangerous punt returner as well. Iowa won the Michigan State game 26-16, moving their points per game average to 22.2, but also lost Cade McNamara, their starting quarterback, to a torn ACL, and Deacon Hill came in to replace him. Hill started his career at Wisconsin coming out of high school as a 3-star recruit. He originally committed to Fordham on Christmas last year after entering the transfer portal until Iowa came calling. Iowa went on to beat Purdue 20-14 to move to 5-1, led by Hill, and the Hawkeyes went into a huge game against rival Wisconsin, one game away from bowl eligibility. They sat at 21.8 points per game, even with the help of their special teams throughout the season. It felt impossible at the time that Iowa would ever be able to make up their shortage in points, and Iowa went into Madison and beat the Badgers 15-6 after an 82-yard rushing touchdown by LaShawn Williams, while the defense forced a safety and Drew Stevens iced the game with a field goal with just under 2 minutes left in the game. Iowa was officially sitting at 6-1, but was only averaging 20.85 points per game. Then came the most controversial game of the season when Iowa took on Minnesota and entered the AP poll for the first time, being ranked number 24. Down 12-10 with less than 90 seconds left, DeJean appeared to save Iowa's day with a miraculous 54-yard punt return touchdown, and Kinnick went insane. But after a controversial review, the officiating crew said DeJean signaled a fair catch. Or a signal like a fair catch. Iowa couldn't get anything done after that, and Minnesota walked out of Iowa City with their win there for the first time since 1999. Iowa's point per game average now set at 19.5. Following their bye, it was announced that Brian Ferentz would not be returning to Iowa following the season. Interim athletic director Beth Goetz said, "Anyone who loves Iowa football recognizes both the success and challenges that have brought our attention to our program this season. Our struggle on offense coupled with the offensive coordinator contract makes this a unique situation. After conversations with head coach Kirk Ferentz, Coach Brian Ferentz, and President Barbara Wilson, I informed Brian that our intentions is for him to be with us through the bowl game, but this is his last season with the program. Making this known today is in best interest of the program and its loyal fans. It provides clarity during this pivotal time in the schedule." Head coach Kirk Ferentz did not seem happy about this situation, but it seemed inevitable as, according to CBS Sports, Brian had a 13.53% chance of meeting the 325-point scoring threshold that was to be required to be retained for the season at the time of the season. Brian reports directly to the athletic director rather than his father to avoid nepotism, and Goetz had only joined their athletic department in 2022, taking over for the retiring Gary Barta this past summer as athletic director. With no real strong relationship with the Ferentz family, there was no real reason for Goetz to hold on to Brian, and the fan base could not have been happier. The offensive struggles continued with Iowa surviving an upset by Northwestern, kicking a game-winning field goal with 14 seconds left to win 10-7. Points per game average was now sitting at 18.44. Iowa returned back to their rankings sitting at 22 heading into their game against Rutgers, and seemingly had an offensive explosion, or so it felt, when they put up 22 points and shut out the Scarlet Knights to move their points per game average to 18.8. The following week, they took on Illinois, ending this first quarter down 3-2 to the Fighting Illini, but went on to win the game 15-13 with a late touchdown by Caleb Johnson. They were now averaging 18.45 points per game. Heading into the Nebraska game, Iowa lost DeJean to an injury in practice, breaking his fibula and ending his season and probably his Hawkeye career due to him being projected as a first-round pick for this year's NFL draft. In 400 snaps this season, he did not allow a touchdown and had 41 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a punt return for a touchdown. When Nebraska fighting for bowl eligibility, the Cornhuskers and Hawkeyes put on a defensive masterpiece as well as a great game of hot potato towards the end of the game with interceptions by both teams with under a minute left. Iowa would kick a game-winning field goal, ending Nebraska's first season under head coach Matt Rule, with the final score being 13-10. In the regular season, Iowa averaged 18 points per game and less than 250 yards per game as well, becoming the first team to go to a bowl after putting up those offensive numbers. The Hawkeyes either trailed or were tied with Illinois, Northwestern, and Michigan State in the fourth quarter, and like Nebraska, they all took the L, kicking themselves for what they might have been able to do. Iowa's special teams and defense carried the offense all season. Punter Tory Taylor, a former Australian rules football player who did not punt in high school, was viewed by some as their MVP, consistently changing the field for the Hawkeyes and being one of the best punters in the nation. Taylor was named a mid-season first-team All-American by the Associated Press and a Ray Guy Award finalist. Iowa averaged 246.5 yards per game on offense, while Taylor averaged 289.1 yards per game punting. The defense ranked 7th in the nation for yards allowed per game and only allowed 12.5 points per game this year. Iowa is sitting at 10-2 and will play in the Big Ten title game this year, capping off one of the strangest successful seasons we have ever seen in college football history. What do you think? Can Iowa do the impossible and win the Big Ten title game? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more college football content. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.